so much, Eileen, and I'm glad you read the piece. That was co-authored with Jay Coonan, who I work
Thank you.
at the Poverty Centre. I'm going to try and keep it really brief, folks, because one of the great things about this event is that lots of different ways in which poor people have been hurt by this budget are being represented by people talking about all kinds of different specific ways in which that happened. And I particularly want to say thank you to Lara for breaking down CDP, because it's something that, yes, people don't really talk much at all or even think about the programs that are in our income support system as being forced labour, but they are human rights violations, along with things like cashless welfare. And as Lara said, they're racist. They discriminate against First Peoples, and that is inherent in our income support system. It's something I try to make a really strong point of every time I get the chance to speak. So when we're fighting for justice in the welfare system, that has to be first and foremost. It's not because it benefits us all, even though it does. It's about paying the rent, and it's about recognising and trying to ameliorate some of the harms done over the past 230, 250 odd years of colonisation and violent colonisation. So I guess it was very nice to be invited to speak at this event, but I have to say I did give out a huge sigh when I got the request from Don and think, oh, not more about the budget. I think one thing that's really important for us to discuss and have in our minds is the fact that the budget doesn't matter. Like, this government has an agenda. We've spent heaps of time talking about it tonight. Their agenda is all about transferring wealth up. I think that's the language Ali used. And they're doing it because they don't see our humanity. Like, we're dehumanized by our own government. And that's how they get away with hurting millions of poor people and making us poorer, with ignoring the needs of disabled people on so many levels, both in terms of with the failure to increase payments last year, with the failure to vaccinate, with the failures in the NDIS, and all of the other things we're hearing about at the Disability Royal Commission. All of these things they manage to do to people, again, the racism, it's because they both do, fail to see our humanity, and they do demonize and dehumanize us consistently in the media, so that people who don't have direct experience of the challenges that those of us who are most disadvantaged are facing, don't see or relate to us and our experience in our lives. So I think the budget for me is a frustrating sideshow, because it does almost, I think, suck energy out of that important activism that so many, if not all of the groups who are represented here tonight are working on. We, I think, have so many longer term campaigns that we need to be thinking about. And the budget is really a chance for the media to do its tallying, to say winners and losers, to spit a bunch of numbers out, and to kind of distract everyone from the real meaning of what all these things are. So I'm going to be really brief. I'm not going to say much more at all. I'm just going to say it's really important for me to remind everyone that the poverty line changes. In the first few months of the pandemic, the poverty line increased by $5 a day, and the change to the income support payments, to a large number of them, not all of them, in April meant that people were actually $15 a week, I think, further below the poverty line than they were in March last year. So, it seems like an increase, but it's not. They got away with slashing billions of dollars out of what should have been our budget for people on income support by doing it in April. And again, the media just missed that. No one reported the fact that this is an austerity budget for lots and lots of people, because they had a very clever comm strategy, which was just to do it a month early, and it worked. So, we don't trust the government. The response from the Labor Party has been totally underwhelming and quite dispiriting. It's frustrating that we're still seeing a total failure to back up the rhetoric of being on our side with any substantive policy. So I didn't want to go into too much of the detail tonight, because there's just so much to cover. But to counter that point that the Prime Minister is making about the economic recovery, we currently have about 1.6 times the number of people on unemployment payments than we did in last February, and there's about 3.5 times the number of people on unemployment payments who are earning income. well below and are well below the poverty line. The Henderson poverty line right now is $85 a day. It changes. Keep your eye on it. That's what we should be arguing for, income support for everyone, at least at the Henderson poverty line. And then we can worry about the social wage and those more sophisticated and complex programs that we need to develop to make our society better for everyone and have a welfare system that cares for us all.